Joshua happening in December? Anything, any prediction on how it will go? Yeah, if it's not handicapped, Anthony Joshua will knock him out.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I respect them both. It's not a fight I even thought of. I mean, it's nothing to do with me to start with. I mean, it come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, I think, he's had a lot of criticism about, he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but, and he's fighting as a pro.
The rules, 10-ounce gloves. So they're the little ones that I knock people out with. And when AJ's got them on, trust me, you can feel them knuckles through the gloves. Big heavyweight with the same size gloves as what I had on. So it's not 14 or 16 ounces what you spot.
A live on-air confrontation doesn't just happen out of nowhere, it brews, builds, and then explodes. And with someone like Jake Paul in the mix, that fuse burns fast. Jake does what he's built an empire doing. He talks, he provokes, he promotes, and he pushes boundaries that many believe should never be touched. He calls out legends. He boasts about wins. He positions himself as the hottest name in boxing today. To his supporters, that confidence feels justified. To traditionalists, it feels like gasoline thrown on sacred ground. So when Shannon Sharpe stood up, the temperature in the studio dropped, then spiked. His reaction wasn't random, it was layered, calculated, emotional. Layer 1, protecting the sport is not just flashy entrances and viral clips. It is blood, years of sweat, a heritage passed from fighter to fighter. Men like Anthony Joshua spent their entire lives sharpening their craft, fighting their way up through pain and discipline. When an outsider leaps into that world and lands straight into megafight conversations, many feel the sport is being turned into a circus. Shannon has always acted like a guardian of the games he loves. His voice carries that weight, protective, stern, almost parental. Layer 2, accountability. Shannon doesn't let arrogance slide, especially when it comes packaged with disrespect. Jake has a habit of crossing lines. Whether intentional or not, his comments often downplay the real danger fighters face inside the ring. So when Shannon fired back, the raised voice, the controlled fury, the directness, it electrified the moment. And then came the line that instantly went viral of "This is bull." A raw, unfiltered eruption that froze the room and made millions lean forward when the clip hit the internet. It felt like truth delivered at maximum volume. What followed was chaos, the good kind, the digital kind. Social media exploded. Fans divided instantly. Some praised Shannon for defending boxing's integrity.
Joshua won the gold medal. Didn't he win the gold medal for the super heavyweights in the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know Anthony Joshua's history, but I'm thinking about ring experience. That's pretty much it. And I commend Jake Paul for what he's done. I commend him for the work he's put in and how serious he's taken the sport. From going from a YouTuber and actually taking it seriously and dedicating his life to boxing and entertaining, in his own lane and creating a lane for himself in the sport. So you can't handicap a fight like this too, huh?
He won the gold medal in the 2012 Olympics in London.
Yeah.
And the super heavyweight, same one Klitschko, the same one.
Others accused him of clinging to the past while the sport evolves. Jake's fans insisted he brings fresh eyes, mainstream attention, huge money, and a new generation of viewers. And right there lies the modern conflict, tradition versus transformation, respect for boxing's roots versus the reality of influencer-driven super events, and this single live clash highlighted the exact crossroads boxing now stands at: legacy fighters, celebrity boxers, streaming giants like Netflix, and the constant hunger for viral moments all competing under one spotlight. Did the sport win because it's back in every headline? Or did it lose when the narrative shifted to clicks? That debate will keep burning while the world waits for fight night. Moments like this do one thing flawlessly: they make boxing feel alive again. Loud, messy, emotional, unpredictable. And when sports and entertainment collide, the sparks are impossible to ignore. The build-up to the fight, rumors, reactions and shockw of the fight had been circulating as a rumor for days, but almost no one believed it. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua? A former two-time heavyweight champion versus a YouTuber-turned-boxer? It sounded like fiction until the official announcement confirmed the showdown in Miami on December 19. Around the same time, Logan Paul crossed paths with UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier during podcast recordings. Logan seized the moment, revealing to DC that the rumors were actually true. Cormier, shocked, confused, amused, ran through every emotion live on the spot. Logan pushed further, grilling Cormier on whether he believed Jake stood a real chance. Cormier made his stance bluntly clear: stop treating Jake like he's not a boxer. It's been 5 years. He can fight. But then Logan hit him with the bigger question: what about Anthony Joshua? And DC's reaction had the whole room howling. Anthony Joshua's comeback promise since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September 2024, Joshua has been inactive. But the 36-year-old came out firing. When the fight was booked, he vowed not just to win, but to destroy the internet. Joshua declared to Jake, or anyone can get this work. No mercy. He said he took time off, reset, and is returning for a massive show. He intends to break records, make huge numbers, and prove he still belongs at the top. I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face. Tyson Fury's shocking PREDCTIO, and then came the twist nobody expected. Tyson Fury, Joshua's longtime rival, told Ring magazine, "I think Jake Paul knocks him out. AJ is a spent force. Jake is on the rise." Fury said he liked Jake's new heavyweight build, calling him chubby, bulky, and improving. Jake, now 28, fought mostly at cruiserweight but stepped into heavyweight last November, beating a 58-year-old Mike Tyson on points. Now he steps into the biggest test of his career. The fight is scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds, with standard 10-ounce gloves, and Joshua restricted to a max weight of 245 pounds. Even with all this, Joshua still has his name tied to a potential megafight with Tyson Fury if Fury unretires again after losing twice to Usyk. The backstory: cancelled fights. Call UTS and contract DRAMA. Jake was originally supposed to fight Gervonta Davis on November 14th, but the fight was cancelled after Davis was accused of battery. Jake's team then listed a lineup of fighters willing to step in, including Anthony Joshua himself. Meanwhile, Tommy Fury, Jake's only career loss, declined the fight due to travel restrictions. Tommy said, "Offer me the same $15 million anywhere else in the world, and I'll be there in 8 weeks." Carl Froch's brutal take on AJ's Elijah, and then came another heavyweight opinion. Carl Froch. Froch argued that even if AJ destroys Jake Paul, his prime is gone. Froch questioned whether AJ ever had a true legacy, saying Joshua benefited from momentum created by earlier British boxing events. He acknowledged AJ's massive stadium fights and the Klitschko comeback win, but criticized AJ for falling short against elite opponents Ruiz, Usyk, twice, and Dubois. Froch believes AJ is now simply cashing in during what he calls a clown world era.
Is AJ cashing out? Well, I did say a year ago when he got splattered by Daniel Dubois that he's finished now. He won't get that confidence back. He's not had any confidence, in his head. No belief for a long time. And I don't think he can get back to world level. There's a couple of new young guns now coming up and coming through. It's like a changing of the guard. And when Usyk retires, I don't know what Daniel Dubois is going to do next, but I don't know what Daniel Dubois did to him. Then he went on and lost to Usyk. But there's a few new heavyweights coming through, Moses Atama, just to mention one. And you wouldn't start putting AJ in with any of these young up-and-comers that can punch hard, because I just don't think he's got the chance, because the ambition and the desire is going to be gone. So AJ most definitely is cashing out, and you can't fault him. Fair play to him. He's going to get a massive payday, maximise his exit route.
Carl Froch began by explaining what he believes Anthony Joshua's true legacy in boxing really is. In Froch's view, Joshua will always be remembered for the way he brought mainstream attention back to the sport. He turned boxing into a spectacle again, something everyday people, casual viewers, and armchair fans wanted to tune into simply because it felt like an event. Froch said many people showed up to watch AJ not necessarily because they were hardcore boxing enthusiasts, but because Joshua created an atmosphere that made every fight feel massive. That, Froch stressed, was undeniably good for the sport and helped put eyes on boxing that hadn't been there in years. But Froch also argued that while this impact on the sport is significant, it doesn't automatically make Joshua a Hall of Famer. He stated bluntly that AJ has not had a Hall of Fame career. To earn that status, Froch explained, a fighter must have consecutive world title defenses, victories over elite opponents, and a long run at the very top. Acknowledging this, he insisted, shouldn't be interpreted as disrespect, just an honest assessment of boxing history. Froch added that the Jake Paul fight does hurt AJ's legacy somewhat, because to him it feels like Joshua is stepping into what he called a clown world. Still, Froch admitted the money is enormous, and from his perspective, Joshua appears to be cashing out, even if that choice comes at a real cost to how he'll be remembered. Despite the huge gap in class and experience, David Benavidez gave Jake Paul credit for taking such a dangerous challenge. He said that while everyone expects Joshua to dominate, Paul still deserves respect for stepping into a ring with a former two-time heavyweight world champion. "I give 100% respect to Jake Paul," Benavidez told FightHub TV. "But that's a dangerous fight for him. He probably gets knocked out. I'm not hating, I'm just telling the truth. Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua." He reminded fans that the last time someone with limited experience fought AJ referenced Ngannou, the outcome was devastating. Still, Benavidez acknowledged it would be a big event and a strong card, and he praised Paul for having the courage to accept the bout. Meanwhile, Lawrence Oakley stepped into the conversation with a surprising offer. The former cruiserweight world champion, who has sparred with AJ for years, said he wants to help Jake Paul prepare. Speaking from his training camp in Dubai, Oakley vowed he would travel to Puerto Rico for a couple of weeks just to give Paul a fighting chance. He said he simply wanted to understand what gave Jake the confidence to accept a 250-pound world champion with Olympic pedigree in front of millions of Netflix viewers. Oakley, now a heavyweight and the WBC's #1 contender, is one of the few fighters who has sparred extensively with both Paul and Joshua. He doesn't predict a Paul victory, but he believes Jake can cause some trouble if things go unexpectedly well. Still, Oakley emphasized the massive difference in size, skill, timing, and experience. Joshua stands 6 feet 6 inches, over 250 pounds, and has 25 knockouts. When asked whether he thinks Joshua will finish Paul in the first round, Oakley's answer was interesting. "For some reason, I don't think so," he said. Based on what he knows of AJ's sparring habits, he doesn't think Joshua will open with a monstrous right hand to end things instantly. But he warned that if Jake Paul lands something meaningful early, Joshua will immediately shift gears. He also suggested Joshua might view this fight partly as an exercise, since he hasn't been in the ring for a while. If Paul clips Joshua and AJ doesn't immediately close the show, then, according to Oakley, the fight becomes intriguing. But he still made it clear that Joshua's reach, size, and power make this an incredibly difficult matchup for Paul. Unless Paul finds ways to land clever punches without being neutralized, he'll struggle to find rhythm. Oakley added that perhaps Jake's coaches see something the public doesn't. "We'll find out soon enough," he said. Oakley joked that he once refused to fight Joshua because his mother wouldn't allow it due to AJ's role in boosting his career. Laughing, he said she would allow it now not because she dislikes AJ, but because she fully supports Oakley's rise. Johnny Nelson then offered a harsh take, saying Joshua has put himself in a no-win situation. Nelson told Sky Sports there must be 50 million reasons why AJ accepted the fight. He admitted he never believed this matchup would happen because Joshua had always talked about legacy, history, and becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion. To Nelson, this decision signals that Joshua is now thinking as a businessman rather than a competitor chasing greatness. Nelson also highlighted that Joshua has been ordered to weigh no more than 245 pounds for this fight. The last time Joshua weighed around that was the Usyk fight, which means he'll need to be in tremendous shape. Nelson compared this matchup to Mayweather versus McGregor, insisting that if this is a real fight with real punches and standard 10-ounce gloves, then Jake Paul is extremely brave. But Nelson repeated, AJ cannot win in the court of public opinion. If Jake Paul lasts the full distance, people will criticize Joshua. If AJ knocks him out early, people will say it was expected. There is little glory in this, aside from silencing Paul's critics. Nelson pointed out that the boxing community would watch the fight because boxing is not a game. People can play football and tennis, but you cannot play boxing. Fans, he argued, will tune in hoping to see Jake Paul finally get shut up. And if the best version of Joshua shows up, Nelson believes the fight will be comfortable and satisfying for boxing purists. But if Joshua struggles, he will have to ask himself whether he has become more of a businessman than a champion. Nelson then questioned whether Joshua, who hasn't fought since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois, can ever return to peak form. He believes AJ's chances of becoming world champion again are shrinking. He argued Joshua should logically be seeking revenge for the Dubois loss, but instead he seems to be prioritizing the biggest payday available. Nelson said that while Joshua was once the best heavyweight in the world, accepting a Jake Paul fight means he must know backlash is coming, though a $50+ million payday is impossible to ignore. Promoter Frank Warren echoed similar worries, calling the matchup a car crash waiting to happen. He said Paul is a massive underdog and most people believe the result is already decided. But that, he admitted, is exactly why people will watch. Warren said Joshua is taking the money and the safe option, though he personally would prefer to see AJ fight rising prospect Moses Itama instead.
Both. It's not a fight I even thought of. It's nothing to do with me to start with. It come out of the blue, but it's intriguing. And I think from Jake's perspective, he's had a lot of criticism about he is a pro boxer now. The way you want to look at it, he trains as a pro, but and he's fighting as a pro. They said it's about time he fought some. I've seen some of the stuff, that said, when's he going to fight someone? Well, he's gone from one extreme to the other. That's what he's doing. So if that fight happens, you've got to take your hat off to him.
He got called up by Andre Ward, AJ. Would you rather see Jake fight AJ, which is obviously, as we know, a mismatch, or Andre Ward, who's been retired for 4 years?
I'd much rather see AJ fight Tyson.
Oh, please. I dread to think how many times
we don't know if
you've
that's
done
going to
this.
happen because the big man, he's filming, he's not made his mind up what he's going to.
Despite the chaos surrounding Anthony Joshua's controversial showdown with Jake Paul, it is widely believed that Joshua will still move forward with the highly anticipated fight against Tyson Fury next year. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's longtime promoter, recently confirmed that plans for the megafight remain intact. According to Hearn, they are working closely with Turki Al-Sheikh, the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, who is expected to play a major role in brokering the deal between both camps. Al-Sheikh has already stated publicly that Joshua is scheduled to fight in February, with the long-term vision being a blockbuster Joshua vs. Fury encounter in 2026. Hearn also revealed that the side agreement for the Joshua-Fury fight is nearly finalized. However, Frank Warren was quick to remind everyone that Tyson Fury will ultimately have the final say. Tyson will decide what he wants, Warren said. For him, it's simple: does he want the fight, and does the money make sense? Talks are happening right now. If the offer is the right offer, he'll do it. If not, he won't. Meanwhile, MMA journalist Ariel Helwani weighed in on the Joshua-Paul matchup. Helwani dismissed the criticism that fighting Jake Paul harms Joshua's legacy, noting that even icons like Muhammad Ali and George Foreman participated in crossover or entertainment-style bouts without damaging their historical standing. At the end of the day, he stressed, boxing has always been about prize-fighting, fighters pursuing the biggest bag. But Helwani did voice a strong concern for Jake Paul's safety. Reflecting on Francis Ngannou's frightening knockout loss, where he lay motionless for an extended period, Helwani questioned whether Paul is entering a level of danger he has never experienced. The real discussion is safety, Helwani said. People die in boxing. That's not an exaggeration. Does facing Anthony Joshua put Jake Paul at a severe, unreasonable risk? I'll never forget Ngannou lying there motionless. He had never been knocked down, much less knocked out. That was terrifying. Despite warnings, doubts, and heavy criticism from the boxing world, Jake Paul remains unapologetically confident. He has made it clear that he believes he will defeat, embarrass, and knock out Anthony Joshua. Jake Joseph Paul will knock out, defeat, and embarrass Anthony Joshua. December 19th, live on Netflix, Paul declared on his YouTube channel. His message was firm, bold, and delivered with complete conviction. Joshua, who has been sidelined since his shocking knockout loss to Daniel Dubois in September 2024, views the fight as a tune-up ahead of his planned February return. Still, many in the boxing community remain baffled by Paul's decision to step into the ring with a two-time heavyweight champion. Rising British heavyweight Moses Itama didn't hold back. He questioned Paul's team and their decision-making, suggesting that someone in his camp is giving him terrible guidance. Jake Paul needs to fire his advisors, Itama said. They're telling him to take fights that make no sense. I like Jake. He's good for boxing. Look at what he's done for women's boxing. But this? This is absurd. Sure, he'll make money, but at what cost? Yet, even with these concerns, Paul is determined to silence his critics once and for all. This isn't an AI simulation. This is Judgment Day, Paul said defiantly. A real heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears. No one will be able to deny me a world title shot. His message to his haters was simple: you wanted this, now watch what happens.